What's up? This is Trey T, and in this video, I am going to debunk the myth that the only reason why the Bulls beat the Bad Boy Pistons is because the Pistons got too old. It's funny we always hear that when people are trying to discredit Michael Jordan and the Bulls, but then try to praise LeBron for beating an old Pistons team in 2007, making it to the finals. I'm gonna get into that that's gonna be last what I talk about. But first, before I even get into the Bulls and the Pistons, do you know before the Bulls beat the Pistons in 91, that the Pistons beat the Celtics in 91, who were even older than them? Now I know some people probably gonna say, well, they had already beat the Celtics before, but so that's nothing. But the fact still remains, the Celtics had got some younger players like Reggie Lewis. So they kind of revamped and D Brown, they kind of revamped their roster a little bit. But the Pistons, they still had the same people, but the Celtics players were older than the Pistons players. You had, Reggie Lewis is 25, but Joe Dumars is 27. Robert Parrish is 37. Vinnie Johnson is 34, and James Edwards is 35. Kevin McHale is 33. Bird is 34. Isaiah Thomas is only 29. John Sally was 26. Now, Vinnie Johnson was 34, and Bill Laimbeer was 33. Dennis Rodman, 29. But as far as like the main two players, the main three, if you count Robert Parrish, 37, Bird 34, and McHale 33. And if you go by the main three on the Pistons, Laimbeer 33, Dumars 27, and Isaiah Thomas 29. Even if you want to throw Rodman in it, he's only 29. So I want to know how, the Bulls beat the Pistons in 91, but the Pistons were young enough to beat the Celtics in 91, and it was no problem. They beat them in 6 games, but then got swept by the Bulls in 4 games. So here we are. Everybody talking about, the Bulls only beat the Pistons when they got old. That's the only reason why they won. The Bad Boy Pistons got old. Well, let's look at the ages of the Bad Boy Pistons. Let's see. Joe Dumars, 27. Michael Jordan, 27. Dennis Rodman, 29. Scottie Pippen, 25. Bill Laimbeer, 33. Horace Grant, 25. Vinnie Johnson, 34. Bill Cartwright, 33. Mark Aguirre, 31. John Paxson, 30. Isaiah Thomas, 29. B.J. Armstrong, 23. The main players for the Pistons, like Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas, they were not old. Joe Dumars is the same age as Michael Jordan. Isaiah Thomas 2 years older than Michael Jordan. The way people talk, they talking like Isaiah Thomas is like 6 or 7 years older than Michael Jordan. Isaiah Thomas came into the league like 2 or 3 years before Michael Jordan. Like, they trying to make it seem like Isaiah Thomas was playing in the 70s or something when Michael Jordan, like, come on, man, y'all need to stop it. Now let us debunk the myth that the Bad Boy Pistons owned Michael Jordan. No, they didn't. They may have had success against the Bulls, but they didn't own Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan and the Bulls played the Pistons 4 straight years, 1988, 1989, 1990, 1991. Basketball is a team sport. So let's look at the teammates of Michael Jordan the first 3-peat years. Let's look at his teammates. Let's look at the so-called big three, because everybody Jordan couldn't win without Pippen. Jordan needed Scottie Pippen. He didn't start winning until Scottie Pippen got there. Well, they played the Pistons in 1988. Scottie Pippen was there, and guess what happened? They lost. They played the Pistons in the 1988 Eastern Conference semifinals, and they lost in 5 games, 4-1. Michael Jordan averaged 27 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. Let's look at Scottie Pippen. He couldn't win without Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen averaged 9 points, 5, and he started all those games too. So don't get it twisted. He started. Horace Grant didn't start, but Scottie Pippen started. Scottie Pippen averaged 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Horace Grant, who came out the bench because Charles Oakley started, Horace Grant had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Now let's go to the 1989. This time they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Pistons won in 6 games. Let's see what Jordan did. Oh, Michael Jordan averaged 30, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. Scottie Pippen went from averaging 9 points to a whopping 10 points. Wow, so impressive. Scottie Pippen, he needed Scottie Pippen, blah, 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 blah. 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Horace Grant, his points went down. Horace Grant went from averaging 11 to averaging 9. Then he had 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 steals. Now, let's go to 1990. Okay, Scottie Pippen finally started. It's almost as like Scottie Pippen coming in a year, 3? He needed some time to, become Scottie Pippen. Because he's averaging 17. And look what happened. Jordan averaged 32. Scottie Pippen upped his average to 17. Horace Grant to 12. Then Horace Grant also had 12 rebounds. Jordan had 7 rebounds, and Scottie Pippen had 6. And look what happened. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals again, but this time it took the Pistons 7 games to beat the Bulls. Wow. It's almost as if Michael Jordan finally got some help, and now his team is competing better. So now let's look what happens the next year in 1991. Again, Michael Jordan was owned by the Pistons, but somehow he averages 30 points again. 30 points for Jordan. Pippen raised his scoring again, this time to 22. Horace Grant raised his scoring to 14. And look what the hell happened to the Pistons. You see what happened when Michael Jordan gets some help? They swept the damn Pistons. No more Pistons. They walked off the floor on some hoe-ass shit without shaking hands. Now, the year before, in 1990, in Game 7, after Chicago lost to them, Chicago shook their hands. But soon as Chicago sweep them the next year in Detroit, they want to lead the game early. Isaiah Thomas hiding his face and shit. And they walk up the court. Some people like John Sally stayed and shook hands. But Isaiah Thomas, we'll burden them. I don't care what somebody else did to you. Every time you beat me, I shook your damn hand like a man. I shook your damn hand like a fellow player. I don't want to hear that shit you talk about. Oh, well, the Celtics did that to us, so that's what you do when you. Nah, I don't want to hear that shit. You can shake hands when you win, but you can't shake hands when you lose. Nah, no, don't come at me with that. Do not. That's some weak-minded hoe shit. That's what that is. And then you try to play like you the victim and all that. I don't want to hear that, man. If Isaiah Thomas would have shook Michael Jordan's hand, I guarantee you he would have been on that Olympic team. If they wouldn't have been beating Michael Jordan up, hitting him and shit, when he went to the goal, he would have been on that Olympic team. It's Isaiah Thomas' own fault that he was not on the Olympic team. Yeah, you can say, well, Joe Dumars was on the team. But Isaiah Thomas was the captain. Isaiah Thomas was the one that helped condone that shit against the Bulls. Isaiah Thomas has always been sneaky. Like, you can look at Isaiah Thomas' face and tell he's sneaky. But the fact still remains that Michael Jordan and the Bulls, well, at least Michael Jordan, played against the Bulls 22 times and averaged 30 points. So for all those, well, Michael Jordan got owned by the Pistons. No, he didn't. He averaged 30. How can you play somebody 22 times and average 30, but they own you? And in out of those 22 times, Jordan still won 10 of those games. The Pistons only won 2 more games than the Bulls. And in those 4 straight years they played in the playoffs, you add all those games up, it's 22 games. The Bulls won 10, the Pistons won 12. Wow, that's some real ownage right there. That's my problem with people. Oh man, the Bad Boy Pistons. No, the Bad Boy Pistons couldn't do nothing with Michael Jordan, only with foul. It wasn't until Michael Jordan teammates stepped their game up and gave Jordan some help, and you never heard from the Pistons again. You never heard from them again. That year, the Bulls was 61-21 as the number 1 seed in 91. Ironically, the older Celtics, who are older than the Bulls and the Pistons, were the number 2 seed. And the Pistons were the number 3 seed. They beat Boston, but they couldn't beat Chicago. Once Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant stepped their game up, the Bulls didn't have to worry about the Pistons anymore. They were done. They were done. Now let us quickly talk about how LeBron beat an old Pistons team in 2007 to make it to the finals to get swept by the Spurs. Because everybody, well, look at LeBron. Look at he beat the Pistons in 2007. The East was weak back then. The Pistons were old, and it's something convenient that people conveniently leave out. They talk about they always talk, oh, he beat the Pistons. But he beat the Pistons that didn't have Ben Wallace anymore. Like, that was when Ben Wallace was in Chicago. Let's look at the ages. LeBron James, 22. Tayshaun Prince, 26. Richard Hamilton, 28. Larry Hughes, 28. Chauncey Billups, 30. Drew Gooden, 25. El Goskis was 31. Rasheed Wallace, 32. Antonio Medias, 32. Virgil, 24. Eric Snow, 33. Chris Webber, 33. Like, let us not pretend like the main people from the Pistons weren't old. And they didn't have... Now, I would have been more impressed if he would have beat the Pistons when they had Ben Wallace, who is arguably a top 10 greatest post defender of all time. But he didn't. He beat them when they had Chris Webber, who was, 33 and on a bum knee, messed up knee. Then you had an old Rasheed Wallace. Like, come on, man. Y'all need to stop it. And let us not forget, it took him 6 games to beat that Pistons team. And in game 6, that was the Daniel Gibson game. Who would ever believe that LeBron James can finish a game 3 out of 11 with 20 points and they still win the game by 16 points off that with that roster? And how did they do it? Oh, Daniel Gibson can give you 31 points off the bench. That's how Cleveland won that game. Daniel Gibson, that's the game that Daniel Gibson had 31 points off the bench. So again, I'm not making this video to try to down LeBron or up Michael Jordan. I'm just saying I need consistency. If you're going to tell the story, tell the whole story, especially about the Pistons being old. That's the one I don't like the most. Like, y'all need to stop with that shit. But anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like and comment. More videos coming soon. Trey T out. Peace.